Good evening and welcome, everyone. This is the Craft Beer Nation coming to you live, or I guess recorded if you're listening to it tomorrow, with a brand new show. We're talking about news and we're talking about current events in the craft beer industry. We're calling this show Pints and Quarts. I think that name is subject to change, but right now for episode 001 on June 6, 2014, we're going to call it Pints and Quarts. And we're going to give you just a half-hour rundown on some of the more current topics, on some of the things that we find interesting, and some of the things that are happening craft beer-wise around the nation. So we're going to dive right in. We've got a panel of the folks you ought to know by now if you've been listening to our other shows and watching our other shows. And we're here with myself, Matt Miller. We've got Victoria, Lola, Gil, Doug, Boris, and Alan with us. And we're just going to... We're going to forego some of the stuff that you're used to seeing on the 10 o'clock hour. That is coming up in another hour from now, and it's going to be fun. But we're going to try and be succinct, and we're going to try and compact some information and some conversation into a little more short format, presentable show to help us carry into the podcast market. So, that being said, Stitcher's iTunes is where you'll find our channel. YouTube, you'll find the videos recorded there, and we look forward to growing a new audience with you as we present episode 1 of Pints and Quarts. So, we got that out of the way, guys. How is everyone this evening?
Good.
Good. Right. Good. We've been planning all week the topics, well, for a few days at least, the topics that we were going to try and cover tonight, and then a kind of a beer industry bomb dropped on us this afternoon, and word came about that the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, or Board, I guess it is, the TTB, made a big ruling and changed the rules on getting some things approved. I'm going to let Boris kind of speak a little bit to that, on what the details there are. Tell us a little bit about that ruling. Was it yesterday or today, Boris?
It was yesterday, the 5th of June. So the gist of it was, it is now a lot faster for breweries and brewers to get label approval, because now they do not have to wait on formula approval, which used to take 74 days on average, according to the TTB. So you can now remove 74 days out of your whole process, and you can just wait on average 17 days to get label approval for your beer. So, which is pretty good, because the formula approvals, it's, if you're adding anything non-traditional that the TTB deems non-traditional, you had to wait a little bit longer. So these non-traditional ingredients, which include, I'm pretty sure most of you listeners out there have had or are drinking something with it, let's say apricots, oranges. In about a month and a half, you're going to start drinking beer with pumpkins in it, allspice, anise, pepper or peppercorns. That stuff was non-traditional, and you had to wait longer for approval. Now you don't have to. So, which is, that to me, that's a big, that's a big moving or ruling that the TTB has changed, and that was effective immediately. So yesterday, they anyone that's about to submit stuff, you're good to go on getting your label sooner, and then you're getting your formula approved even faster now.
So is that retroactive? Like for the people who applied like a month or so ago, do they still fall into this new rule?
They said that if you are awaiting as of yesterday, so in other words, it has not been approved yet, you can remove your approval for the form and then go ahead and start your label approval, because most people were doing formula approval since it was taking the longest, then waiting on label. Well, now they're saying, nope, you can go ahead and start your label approval now if your formula hasn't been approved yet, which is good. That's really good, because a lot of times labeling sometimes can be a hiccup, or label approval can be the hiccup, and now it's just making it a lot faster. So in turn, you're going to see kegs at beer bars and brewery or beer stores that sell kegs or growler fills, and then you're going to see bottles sooner on shelves, instead of like, for example, Santa Fe last summer had to wait almost 2 months for TTB to get their latest sour last year, their Creek, and it was ready. It was sitting at the brewery in cold storage. They couldn't sell it. They couldn't legally sell it. So this process, had it been there last year, that beer would have hit the shelves in the appropriate time.
As an interjection, I've been waiting for a beer since February, and I just got approval a couple days ago. But more details on that later.
So basically, the breweries would to submit to the TTB a list of ingredients that went into producing that beer, and I guess in some formulaic manner, these are the malts, these are the hops, these are the whatevers, and the TTB would then approve that as far as like the ingredients list that you see on food products. Is that what I'm understanding? And that process was 2 or 3 months in the making. Now they're saying if you're making beer from these pre-approved ingredients, you don't have to go through that process. As long as you're using these ingredients in some form of your concoction, then let's just go ahead and roll right on through it. And I guess they probably still want them to document what ingredients they used in the beer, but they can skip right on through they can assume approval and get labels. Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
All right,
because the additive ingredients like cinnamon, clove, cocoa, coriander, nutmeg, that type stuff, those were, as of June 4th, considered non-traditional, which then you had to submit for approval. Now they are considered traditional, which means you do not have to submit for approval, which then means you can go ahead and step forward and do your label approval. Yeah. So as soon as you get your label approved, you obviously have beer to put in a bottle with that label on it. Go ahead and shove it onto your distributor and let it get to the shelves. Instead of waiting for the formula to get approved, which was taking up to 74 days.
I want to play the devil's advocate here, and I looking at the consumer point of view. I'm wondering if this is not going to be causing breweries to putting like tons of new releases more often, and you're going to start like looking so many stuff on the shelves,
That's kind of a problem I'd look forward to.
Yeah, we would put that under. With Gil's comment, I would say it's going to fall under our episode 3.1, First World Problems.
Yes.
Well, the reason I don't think that would happen is because I think most brewers are still going to continue to brew the beers that they want to make, you know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, sure, some might have some crazy ideas, but there's still the point of, like, what's going to sell. So I don't think that, like, I mean, sure, some might, like, maybe Dogfish Head or someone might do something crazy, and they will probably still have to wait for approval. But I don't think they're going to, like, do something totally outlandish and hope to get it approved immediately at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, this rule change or this ruling will in no way whatsoever affect anything that Dogfish Head does, right?
No.
It seems like they're
there already.
Yeah, it's like here's a beer that's got shoe leather from a pair of '78 Nike high tops, So yeah, they do some odd stuff. I mean, what other kind of stuff? I guess, kind of what maybe Gil might have even been leading into with this might have an adverse effect. The adverse effect being breweries want to make beer from just these ingredients for easy approval, right? They want to cut out their
Easy bake brew.
their bureaucratic overhead, and then they say, well, let's just make beer from these ingredients and get done with it. I guess that isn't probably true. You've got to be fresh and creative to stay on the cutting edge here. So all right. I think anybody else got any comments on that topic before we move on? All right. So we've got Lola doing a little research. She is from Jacksonville, Florida. Her street address is 123 Main Street, apartment 4. The key is under the mat. So if you just want to let yourself in and take the TV, go ahead. She's somewhere in Jacksonville or in the Jacksonville regional area, and she is talking about a craft beer trail. So go into a little detail on that. What is that all about, Lola?
Well, I heard it on NPR the other night when I was getting ready for work, and I was like, what? Jack's Beer? What? It's called Jack's Ale Trail. And unfortunately, the story was over before I even had a chance to figure out what they were talking about. So I went online. Now, so far it's just an idea right now that the city of Jacksonville is talking about. It's through, I guess, their tourism website, Visit Jacksonville, and it's going to be a campaign to bring attention to the breweries in Jacksonville. We have 7 breweries, and I haven't even been to all of them. I want to, but it's going to highlight them, and it's going to be, they call it a digital campaign. So I don't know if that means web only or what, but it's going to run throughout all of Florida. So that means hopefully Jeffrey Davis will be so sick of Jacksonville, he'll just have to come here and go to all of our breweries. And it's going to be South Georgia, too, because North Florida is basically South Georgia. It's exactly the same, which is good because I'm from South Georgia, so I had absolutely no problem adapting. But it's supposed to start around July 4th. So I guess we'll see really what it entails and what all they're going to do. But they really want to bolster the brew community here.
Don't you think that a lot of regions, I know ours in particular, there are maybe 4 or 5 breweries that are pretty close in proximity to each other, and they have a Nelson County Beer Trail or a Blue Ridge Beer Trail or something like that in order to draw tourists in. So if you're not going to drive all the way down here just to see Star Hill, but you might come down here to go from the Star Hill Tap Room to the Blue Mountain Tap Room to the whatever. So I guess it's just clever marketing and clever, not clever, but interesting groupings of businesses.
I think they're taking advantage of the proximity of a lot of them because some people nickname a part of Riverside, it's King Street, where at least 2 of the breweries are. Bold City and Intuition are both on the same street. And so you could kind of walk around if you wanted to, although some of that's kind of sketchy. I really wouldn't recommend it. I guess the tourism board isn't going to tell you that, but I'll tell you that. Yeah. But also there are a lot of like pubs there too. So you can go to some really cool pubs that have beer from all over Florida and just really good craft beer. And so I guess you could do a pub crawl there. Now some of the breweries are kind of far, like Engine 15 and Green Room are both near the beach. And there's a new one opening, which I'm excited about. I even know this was out there, but it's called, I think, United Brewery. It's a veteran is behind it. So it's kind of like Veteran Liberty themed, and so that's going to be part of it too. So I don't know how they're going to network all of these disparate breweries, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, that's kind of exciting, and it's really good information for us because I might travel for business or travel with my family, but I always scout ahead and kind of see what kind of beer things, anywhere we go. So little organizations like that kind of try and bring those things together are great.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that when I travel.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great idea because unfortunately around here some of the breweries that we have aren't as good as ones other places. But like Matthew was saying, the ones around his area, I mean, there's a few that make some really good stuff. There's some that make some pretty subpar stuff. But the whole experience of being able to go from brewery to brewery to brewery, kind of all within a 45-mile. I guess that it's like 20 miles. Is a neat idea.
I guess it's just kind of interesting that they're building these areas of breweries, these concentrations of breweries, and really nice areas. I mean, we're here in Nelson County. Doug, you've been there. It's just gorgeous. You're down in the Rocky Mountain or in the Rocky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, in Nelson County, and It's great for bringing your family out and going and having a lunch and having a flight of beers and having your wife drive you home or having your teenagers drive you home, I guess. But I'm surprised they don't populate places that are already destinations. Like go to Myrtle Beach and stick 4 or 5 breweries, right up around where people go and on their private vacations, the golfing vacations and stuff. Maybe they are. I don't know the Myrtle Beach area very well, but. Anyway, Virginia doesn't have mountains. Somebody commented here, so I beg.
Yeah, they have bluffs. The guy from NPR said that they're called bluffs, and then the other guy says they just want you to think they're mountains, right?
Yeah. Well, go climb the side of one, and I bet you'd probably think it a little different.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else, Lola, that you wanted to add about Jacksonville's new ale trail? I kind of like the sound of the Jack's Ale Trail.
I guess I'll let y'all know when it becomes a little more cemented and when they start actually showing the digital billboards, whatever they're going to do.
Yeah, write a little something up and put it up on the craftbeernation.org blog, right?
About the Laura CB&B, which is going to be open in the area.
Yeah, the bed and breakfast. Yeah, that's what you ought to do. Open a little B&B, beer and bed and breakfast.
I will say this, Lo. If I ever make it out there, I would so do this.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Like easily. And then yes, I would crash at the B&B.
All right. I charge $80 a night, but
Yeah,
for friends, maybe 60.
You got to share the guest
80
room with the cats too.
But yeah, you know what? Wow. What happens if I BYOB?
If you
You bring your own
BY,
breakfast?
Bring your own bed.
if you BYB beer,
Yes.
then we'll
Yes.
renegotiate. But make sure not
Okay.
your own beer, some for me.
I don't mind
Okay.
$80 as long as I have free access to the to the cellar. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
You have Wi-Fi. That's about all you have here. Chips, maybe some hummus or something.
We have the Wi-Fi. That's all that matters, man.
We have
Free Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. That's
As long
it.
as there's not a paywall, you log into Lola's Wi-Fi router and hit a
You
paywall.
know what? That's a great idea. I'm gonna have to start working on that splash page.
Oh
So-
man.
I don't care about how old you are. I don't care about anything. Do you have beer? That's all. Yes or no. Do you have beer? That's all you need to answer.
All right, let's move on a little bit here. Real quick, I saw an article. This is actually not very much new news, but the article I saw was written in January, but I just found out about it, and I read about beer all the time, and I thought this is so cool. Oscar Blues and Due South Brewery are doing these. They're calling them Crowlers, and I think Oscar Blues got a trademark on it. So anyway, it's a 32-ounce can growler. So you go into your favorite brew pub, or your Oscar Blues brew pub. I think it's the Colorado line. Or you go into Due South Brewery, you find the beer on the rail that you like, and you want to take it home. But in Florida, specifically, you can't buy 64 ounces of beer. You can only buy 32 or 128. And they'll fill a 32-ounce can, an empty aluminum, plain, unprinted 32-ounce can, and then set it on this little round table and seal it with a can top. So they've got Crowlers, can growlers, and to me that's just flipping awesome. I think that's a great application of canning technology. I know, my grandmother used to can things, with a can sealer. I kind of wish I'd kept it all these years, but I don't know what you guys think. And it only adds apparently $1 to the cost of the fill. So now you don't have to worry about carrying a glass growler around with you. Just go into the bar, find the 2 or 3 beers you want, and get cans of them to go.
I love the idea. Did they say how much these cans cost?
Well, they said to the consumer they cost $1. They add $1 to the cost of the 32-ounce fill.
Yeah, so that's such a a saving, especially if you don't have, like, for me, I have tons of growlers, but I only have one 32-ounce growler.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to lug that down to Florida just for the heck of it. If I was down there, and if you were to go to Due South and wanted to get 5 growler fills, it's only $5 for the containers. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the benefit of that.
Yeah, that would probably
And
if you wanted to ship
one-time
beer.
use too, by the way.
Yeah, it's a one-time use. The top pops just like any other kind of aluminum can, and then you recycle it. It's in line with Oscar Blues, pack in, pack out, or the can kind of concept.
Yeah, they're really wanting people to literally share it. I mean, hey, more power to you if you're gonna down a 32-ounce can of a beer in a sitting and it still tastes good. But their whole thing is, you come into the brewery, fill it up with whatever you want. Old Chub on nitro in a 32-ounce can. Cool. Boom, they seal it up. You go out to the campgrounds, and then you just crack it open and share it with your friends, or you go back to your apartment and have, a beer share, whatever the case may be. That was their thing, and I don't remember I do remember the article in January. I just didn't remember the cost, but I guess $1. I would, definitely do that. Only $1 more.
And I don't think you can find a more committed craft brewery when it comes to cans than Oscar Blues. I mean,
Nope.
they're big advocates of cans.
Even their bottles are aluminum bottles. With
Really?
Yeah, they have aluminum bottles, 16 ounces, just like the Miller Lite can bottles and the Bud Light can bottle, but they're just not that tall. They're just a little shorter and fatter. And yeah, they seriously don't have glass anywhere, I don't think.
I don't know if I've ever seen those bottles before.
It's very the only beers they've stuck into those are usually collaborations. I had a Sun King Oscar Blues collaboration. It was like a Imperial Brown Ale, and it was in that type of can. I'll share the picture later because I had it last or 2 years ago.
Darn, Steve. One more thing to go look around now. Man.
All right, well, let's move on past that. Let's talk a little bit about some of the great kind of things going on around the nation with regards to beer events and whatnot. And one of the organizations that we've always respected and many of the women in Craft Beer Nation participate in is the Girls Pine Out. And Victoria on the panel here tonight is the president of something, the Tucson chapter, the founder of the Tucson chapter. And she's going to talk a little bit about that organization and some of the things they got coming up.
I'm one of the founders. I can't say I'm the only one. I have a co-founder. For Tucson, we just had our monthly event last night for Tucson Girls Pine Out at Whole Foods, which was awesome. We had a really good time. We were talking about brewing an anniversary beer for our first anniversary coming up. We kind of got the idea from our original founding chapter in Indiana. They are going to be brewing next spring for their 5th anniversary with Scarlet Lane Brewing Company and Scotty's Three Wise Men Brewing, which I'm not familiar with them at all. I don't know if any of you guys are. But we're going to brew with a local brewery here in Tucson, 1055. They've offered to help us out with that. So that's going to be kind of fun. Looking forward to that.
And they're treating you like royalty. How many women were at your event last night?
About 25.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because
Yep.
Victoria, if you're not following her on Google Plus now, you need to, because she posted that they tapped a 21% something.
Yes.
I don't know what it was, but it was 21%.
It's McKellar's Black Sauternes. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but it's McKellar's Black Sauternes, Sauterne, something like that. It's so good.
They
It was
brought
really
they brought out
amazing.
the big guns. Yeah.
And they tapped Sticky Monkey for us too last night.
That's nice.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds like a pretty fun event.
It was a lot of good beer.
Yeah. All right. Let's unless you had more to add there, Victoria.
I'm just gonna mention that there's a brewery or a Brew at the Zoo event coming up here in Tucson next weekend, and we're not officially part of it, but we're just helping promote it. It's to raise money for the zoo. This is their second time doing it.
Very cool.
Yeah, all the breweries from the state come down, and you get to drink beer at the zoo.
I hope no one gets drunk and tries
Yeah.
to go into the tiger cage.
Yeah, don't fall
I
into the
hope
polar
not.
bear pit. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
California,
That would be fun.
I think I want to say San Francisco does the same. They have a brew at the zoo.
Yeah.
I
don't
heard
know.
about it like 2 years ago, and I thought it was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah. But
Last
you know
year's
what?
was very successful, so they're doing it again.
That's actually a really cool tie-in to get people to come out
Yeah.
and support those kind of things.
Yep.
All right. Our next story. I'm gonna let Alan dive right into it here. This is one that I might be digging for my checkbook on.
All right. So this one next right here is there's a brew pub in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is Twin Cities, and they're trying to raise funds to open their place up or whatnot. So instead of doing like the Kickstarter thing, like you see a lot of breweries or everything doing, which I mean Kickstarter's fine if you're going to use it. Like I've seen a lot of people use it and it works successfully. So like nothing against that, but what they're doing is they're kind of offering another option. But it's like their plan is they need to raise like $220,000 to get the bank loan that they're trying to achieve, and essentially they're saying if you donate $1,000 to their cause, they will offer you free beer for life, which I think is awesome.
If you're in Minneapolis or St. Paul.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you're local, I think like that's the key. If you're
Oh,
local to it,
I'd
it's
right
totally
on
a
the
big deal.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, if I were there right now, I would seriously
Totally
give
do
them
that.
like take my money. I don't care.
What if you
Yeah.
did that and you hated the beer?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a refund on the beer?
I don't think there's a
Yeah.
refund option, but the way I look at it is if you find one that you can like, and if you could drink 2 beers a day, even at $5 a pint. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna charge.
Well,
but
could you get? I mean, would it work for just pours in the brewery, or could that count towards like growlers? Could I go in there and
No,
get like growler fills?
If I remember correctly, the article stated any other house beers.
Yes.
House
That's
beers.
true.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You can't get, say, they have guest taps and it's surly.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna get surly. You got to pay for that surly.
Yeah. That's
I
Yeah,
would be
but what
fairly
I'm saying is like if it's their beer, can I get a growler of their beer to go?
I don't. They didn't
I
mention
think
that in
They
the
didn't
article.
mention that
so-
in the I don't think they mentioned it in the
Yeah.
article.
Well, they did
and I'm
mention
pretty
it.
sure-
It was on premises only. You had to
Okay.
have it on
On
premise.
premise only.
If
Okay.
you want to drink a growler on
But-
premise, then go for it.
And I mean, is like the offer was only for beer to the article, but I mean, you can go there, you can eat, you could drink coffee. It's like they're gonna have wine there too. It's like a full a complete establishment. There's no it's not just beer. It's not just a brewery. It's a brew pub with extras, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Well, we interviewed that Black Star Co-op in Austin a year ago or whatever, and they sold shares, and they got beyond the revenue generated from that. They got ownership. People took ownership of it. This was their place.
Well, it looks
and they
like
came back more
it
and more.
looks like reading this. If you invest $1,000, you not only do you receive free in-house beer for the rest of your lives, you also receive 0.1% non-voting equity in the company.
Okay.
If you give $5,000, investors get 5% equity and free in-house beer for life.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, that's also in there. So that's something. If you're local, I'd definitely check that out.
Yeah, I don't think that much of money because I know Spring House here is doing a 6-month membership on their barrel series only, and they're charging $200 for it.
Okay, that's more doable.
But
Yeah.
it's $200 for 6 months, right? In a single series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, you pay more than the $1,000.
Yeah.
All you need is $5 a pint, 100 days, and you're even. 2 pints a day, whatever.
And then your kidney fails, and you can't drink anything, and
Yeah,
you're like,
you
I
drink-
want my
You
money.
drink 2 pints a week for the next 25 years.
Are they can do like that baseball team in Cleveland that what was that a dime beer for a dime?
Oh my. That sounds like my college days when they had penny beer. I don't even know what beer it was. Probably wasn't even beer.
All right. Well, we are up against the half hour here. We've got some stories we want to talk about next week. We're going to come back next week and talk about the law being passed, or that is passed in South Carolina. What do they call it? There's Unger Stone Bill is what they're calling it, or something like that. They've changed things up radically down there. We decided not to cover it this week because our resident South Carolina expert, I think she actually ran for office down there one time, Ashley Bauer, the beer fairy. She's going to be here next week. We're going to go dive deep into that subject next week. We're going to talk about a couple of other things next week, and come to the community, come to the blog, and read about some things that are happening in the beer industry right now. Before we sign off here, real quick, there are some beer festivals coming here in the next couple of weeks around the U.S. Just a short list of things that look like fun. On the 7th, which is tomorrow, there is a Florida beer brunch with Cigar City, Saltwater, Saint Somewhere, and Funky Buddha. That sounds pretty flippin' awesome. I believe one of our moderators is there, right?
Jeffrey Davis?
Yeah, he's up there. for
Probably.
that. So he'll have some pictures of that. There's a annual Boulder Sour Fest tomorrow as well too at Avery in Boulder. That might be worth getting a midnight flight. So there is what do we got here? Washington Brewers Festival is next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Redmond, Washington. National Homebrewers Conference is going on next weekend as well too. That's in Grand Rapids this time, so that'll be a lot of fun. And Great Divide's 20th anniversary party is next Saturday the 14th in Denver, Colorado. So looks like you get a little bit of a break if you get those tickets in advance. So those are some of the things going on around. If you've got news and you've got an event that you want people to know about, certainly let us know, and we'll put that on the air as well. So that is a half hour, guys. Was there anything we didn't cover that anybody here just absolutely thought couldn't wait till next week?
No, I think it's good.
All right.
No.
Gail, go ahead.
No, I was just thought about mentioning quick about since the Godzilla movie's out, go look for the Mecha Hopzilla
Oh, yeah.
beer and read the story. It's funny. They got sued.
That's
Yeah.
so sad.
Yeah, what was the real quick there, Gil? What was it on that?
It's I think it's called Toho's. It's a Japanese company that owns the Godzilla's, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, the first Godzilla movie, he fights against the Mecha Godzilla.
Oh.
So they're claiming that they're infringing their rights.
So Mecha Hopzilla wasn't different enough to make it legal. Huh?
Yeah, I think they didn't want it to go on tap handles and things like that. But go read the story; it's funny.
And actually, Gil will put a post in the craft beer community on that. So go look for Gil's stuff and hang out in the craft beer nation, the craft beer community at Google Plus. It's where we're all at more time than we probably should be. So until a half hour from now, when we all continue our drinking with the Barley Wine Show, and until next week or the next episode, drink the good stuff. Stay tuned in and mind your P's and Q's.
Cheers.